For stories that we are covering, we're going to start with me finding my button. There we go. My partner tells me I'm good at finding the button. In Washington state, atheists are more beloved than Republicans. So you know those surveys that always talk about how, like, atheists are, like, the least trusted group?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, would you vote for someone if they were an X, and then they fill in different things for the blank? And atheists is, like, always the lowest ranked one because everybody hates atheists. Well, in Washington state, they did one of those things statewide, and atheists were only the second most hated group. Republicans were the most hated groups. Yeah, so I'm like, this is just like background stuff about other surveys or whatever. So last month, a group called DHM Research surveyed 500 residents in Washington state to gauge their opinions about a variety of issues. That included asking them about their feelings about various politically relevant groups like gun owners, immigrants, transgender people, etc. They were asked how they felt about those groups on a scale of 0, hate them, to 100, love them. So they disliked Republicans. Republicans got an average score of 44.6, and atheists got 50.1. So, and Republicans were the only group that got an average that was under 50.
I'll take that W. You know, it's not as big of a W as I would have liked, but I'll gladly take it. Yeah. I'm glad that somebody found the votes
we are a minority group that is hated slightly less than Republicans.
You know, you have to wonder, though. You have to wonder, where is the Venn diagram when it comes to hating atheists? Where on the one hand, there's the Christians who are told that they shouldn't hate us, but they should love us in a way that oddly resembles hate, right?
Yeah.
And on the other side of the Venn diagram, there's the people who don't hate atheists, but they hate the idea of an atheist that's explained to them. Like, so they went on r/atheism on Reddit and they don't like the people that are there, and suddenly that's all the atheists.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering I'm wondering which type of atheist these people hate when they're thinking of an atheist, personally.
Yeah. So this should mention, this is from Friendly Atheist blog, Hammett Meta, who is officially a good friend of mine because I met him once and took a selfie with him.
Yay! We took a leap from acquaintance in BFF territory.
Him and Aaron Ra are literally cuddling each other in the group selfie that I got.
No,
it's kind of adorable. It's kind of adorable.
I have to. I guess I can't one up you with Aaron Ra, but I can at least say that the scariest moment of my life was being in a car in Texas with Aaron Ra.
I mean,
he drives very aggressively.
So,
that's all I'm saying.
Okay, this was at BajaCon in Sarnia. And it ended with like a cruise, not really a cruise. You just go on a boat for a couple hours and eat sandwiches and like mingle with people.
Close enough.
Yeah. It was a 3-hour tour, but yeah. So we go to the cruise, we go to the ship or whatever, and Aaron Ra was driving a Rivian, which, if you don't know, is an electric pickup truck. The Rivian is the company that's the only thing they make is the Rivian. It looks way better than the fucking Cybertruck, which I've now seen 2 out in the wild. But like, he like, and when I saw him driving the Rivian, I immediately, like, the first thing in my brain was like, oh, that tracks. Because like, it's Aaron Ra. He seems like a truck kind of guy, but he's also like, I could totally see him being an electric vehicle kind of guy as well. So like, electric truck, why not? But it turned out he was just like borrowing that from like someone else that went to the conference was like, hey, I have a Rivian, do you want to drive it? And he was like, yes. And like, he was telling the story about how he got on the highway and like floored it so he could feel the torque that you get with the electric vehicle. And he's like, I don't know why these people are obsessed with gas cars, like the electric, like, so much better. And it, like, I don't know, it was fun. But so
Aaron's a fun guy to hang around, I'm not gonna lie. We had a conversation about expanding our palettes for hot stuff, because we went, when I was in Texas with him, we went to it's a crab shack, but they're known for their ghost pepper sauces. And so I got ghost pepper wings, so I wasn't feeling crab. So we kind of had a conversation about that.
So Aaron doesn't do well with taking direction, though. It's like, so you know that video that I put out with Cameron Bertuzzi was like using ChatGPT to transvestigate the boxer. So I went around at BajaCon and got all the speakers to be like, this is what I'm doing. So like, this is the context it's going to be used in. So I'm not going to just like take your shit and put it in some random something and make you look bad or whatever. But like, this is exactly what I'm doing with it. And everybody was like, yeah, dude, this is none of your fucking business. None of your, like, whatever. They would do the thing. I got to Aaron and he just like, I explained what I'm doing with it. And he goes off and he gives like this long detailed explanation of like how like the tests that they're saying they have for Imam Khalif don't necessarily mean what they are saying they mean, and like he's like going off on this technical explanation or whatever. And I was just like, okay, but like my whole thing with this video is I'm not taking it seriously, so can I please just get a clip of you being like, I don't fucking care, and or is like something like that. And the clip that I used from Aaron was actually him saying that like he just doesn't care about sports.
Because you had to find it somewhere.
Yeah, and so he's just like, I don't fucking care. He just burst out laughing because I was trying to get him to say a thing. He was like, okay, you know, I can use that, and I kind of want to just like release the whole thing, but like the whole point of that was that I'm not taking Cameron seriously. So like, as much as I hate having cut the first part of that, it still worked in the video. And I hope he doesn't get mad at me for misusing it like that.
Technically misrepresenting him with clips.
That is technically not what Aaron was responding to when he said the thing that he said in my video that I used. But anyway, back to your point with regards to this article, what Hemant says is that people used to fear atheists because they didn't know any and relied on negative stereotypes about them. So it was more that like, when religion was more dominant in the States, the people that were actually not religious were not as comfortable being out about not being religious. And so
they had a bunch of stereotypes.
The only way that people knew what an atheist was what their pastor says an atheist was. And what the pastor says an atheist is it's someone who is hateful and spiteful and just doesn't want to, or just wants to sin.
You can tell they don't have the Spirit of the Lord in them. And the Bible tells us you will be able to know them by their works.
Yeah.
Because I remember that conversation from my pastor.
Oh, so I'm poking around in Mere Christianity because I'm considering doing a series on it. And fucking C.S. Lewis, man. Like, I don't know. Like, he hung around with J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien was brilliant person. Brilliant
Is that why
author.
Narnia feels like a ripoff of Tolkien?
Well, they were bouncing ideas off each other all the time. If it wasn't for C.S. Lewis, Tolkien might never have published Lord of the Rings. Because Lewis was constantly bugging him, like, hey, no, like, it's great the way but like Tolkien was a perfectionist, so he's like, no, I need to get everything absolutely right. Oh, there's the hat. Another hat.
I'm already in mine for the day.
Yeah, let's go Octo hat. I'm gonna try and get the Octo hat over the headphones this time because it always gets uncomfortable under them. But yeah, no. So C.S. Lewis was like, we might not have Lord of the Rings if it wasn't for C.S. Lewis. But like, sometimes he was just an idiot. Like, I'm reading Mere Christianity, and he literally said, like, for context, this book was written in the 1940s during the height of World War II. Like, this is based on radio broadcasts that he did during World War II. This was meant to, like, boost morale in Britain while they were being bombed, while the Nazis were at their height. And so he says, though there are differences between the moral ideas of one time or country and those of another, the differences are not really very great. Says the guy writing while Nazi Germany is at its height.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? The Nazis' moral system isn't that different from the rest of the world? What? But he's also like, he is so good at undercutting his own point. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm reading through it, and like, he'll talk about how, like, people say like, oh, like in explaining how like we all have the same moral law that we're following, he then talks about how like, yeah, and guess what, societies have progressed morally over time. So we look back in time and we see societies and we disagree with their morals, and then as time goes on they get closer and closer to what our morals are, and that's proof that that society is getting towards the true moral absolutes.
But wait, hold
and it's
on.
just like, didn't you just say that no societies,
the Nazi wasn't that far away?
Like, yeah, no, like they're not all that different from ours, because we all have the one moral law that we all know already, so we wouldn't need to progress towards it. We all just already have it. Like, didn't you just say that?
To a degree, though, if you think about the way that, like, the United States may be a little more so in this case, but Britain as well, there are a lot of those same like xenophobic tendencies that did like underpin those societies that were shared with Nazi Germany. Like, we had the brown coat movement in the United States. Like, we had our own mini Nazi parties literally floating around. Not even the ones that everybody knows. Everybody knows about the KKK and how they were Nazi sympathizers as well.
They're also where the police came from.
Yeah.
Just historically, that's the origin of police departments, was KKK organizations.
But, well, actually, it wasn't KKK
slave hunters. It was slave hunters.
Slave hunters.
Yeah.
Which predate the KKK as we know it.
They became the KKK and then they became the police.
Right, because the Ku Klux Klan came in as a response to black people getting their rights in America.
What about the Gazpacho police?
What about the Gazpacho police? Look, I prefer the Gorbanzo police. Okay. But no, like I can understand a little bit of where he's coming from if you're looking at the broader context of how a lot of our societies operated. Like, we had a thriving eugenics movement in the United States. A thriving eugenics movement. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like maybe I haven't read the book that you're reading, so I can't play proper defense here.
So the last time I read it, I was a Christian, and I thought it was pretty good. And I'm reading it now, and I'm just like, wow, this is shit. And like, I
read Leviathan.
I only just read the first 2 chapters, and in those first 2 chapters, he's talking about how like this moral principle, the moral law that he's talking about, that is the foundation of the rest of the book. So like, he admits in it that like, if I'm wrong about this, the rest of the book doesn't matter. So and he undercuts his own goddamn point. So yeah, the rest of the book doesn't matter. But yeah, anyway, back to the story. We actually have things to talk about today.
Real quick, Tano's channel says, sorry, don't have much time to stay and listen. I found your channel while looking up builds for a budget Haymaker deck. Love your budget videos and can't wait to see what else you come up with. Awesome, Tanos. Well, nice. This particular conversation's a little more heavy-handed than my Magic the Gathering content, but I appreciate you stopping by nonetheless.
Yeah, we don't normally get into the technicalities of C.S. Lewis and his apologetics for Christianity while talking about a card game.
I mean, typically we don't talk about the card game because I haven't yet suckered Vice Rhino into playing the card game.
I don't know anything about the card game.
I've been trying for months. If y'all would like to help me peer pressure him.
I feel like that's the thing that we would have to do in person.
Spell Table exists.
I don't know what that is.
Spell Table is Wizards of the Coast's. It's a webcam app that scans the cards on your table, so that you can click on a card on somebody else's video feed, and it'll show you what the card is and does, and any rulings.
Like more trouble than it's worth.
It's anyway, you just click a thing.
Danny Westnut, you set up a camera first, make sure it can see your deck and all that shit.
Okay, cool. So done.
Yeah, you don't know what my desk looks like.
You know, you're right. I don't know what your desk looks like, but you know what, actually, I have an idea of what your desk looks like because I remember when you specifically set your camera angle so that it didn't find the clutter of your office.
My office and my desk are 2 different things.
I understand, but often
so what's
how
actually
clean one is reflects the rest.
One of the things I'm actually a little bit impressed with myself on, with regards to, like, is how clean my setup looks. Like when I'm filming, I'm up against that wall. And now, like, here, you see, I got the picture on the floor, but that, like, I did Like, that's on purpose. That's behind the dog bed. I thought for some reason the other picture would be more visible on stream, but that's like my grandfather painted Eliandonan Castle, and we're painting the hallway where that normally hangs, so I brought it in here, and I'm like, I can show that off on stream, but it's not visible, so fuck me, I guess. But yeah, the fact that like I can have such organization behind me, sort of like the shelves are kind of in order, and like when I'm recording, my shelves over there look kind of in order. Everything else in this room is a disaster.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like ADHD
Like,
is to blame.
Anything outside of the camera's viewfinder is just a mess. But
yeah, that sounds about right. That's about where I am.
Back to the story we've been allegedly talking about this whole time.
Allegedly.
Danny Westneat, a columnist for Seattle Times and a non-religious person himself, says, Republicans, take it from me, if you're below the atheists, you're having a major brand perception crisis.
Yeah.
So the reasons for this were not explored. My sense, which I've stated repeatedly in this space, is that it's the complete takeover of the party by Donald Trump and his MAGA movement has made it toxic to the lion's share of voters here. So yeah, believe it or not, most Republicans don't really like the MAGA thing. They're voting Republican because like the values of the party have typically lined up with theirs. And even like the MAGA wing of it has still kind of shared those values, but it is getting to a point where like the moderate Republicans are like, no, I'm tired of this shit, and they are either going to vote for Harris or they're going to stay home. And like Nick Fuentes, not a moderate by any stretch of the imagination, is also like, he hasn't said that he's not voting for Trump, but he's been very critical of Trump.
Yeah, it's what I would have hoped for, right? The ideal where Trump is concerned is that he moved far enough away from the white supremacists that he was considered not votable by them. The reality is he's trying to appeal to whoever he happens to be in the fucking room. And so he just happens to say things that a white supremacist streamer doesn't agree with on a particular day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, but he's also getting, like, I don't know if, like, his mental state is deteriorating. Like, I've seen a lot of speculation about that. Yeah, probably. But you can't, like, I am a very firm proponent of don't diagnose people that you've never met. It's like, you don't know what they're like when the camera's not on. But, like, judging by what we've seen on camera, he seems to be struggling with the idea of, like, even considering people exist outside of his perception. So like,
yep.
And he's not even really good at appealing to the people that are in the room anymore. Like, his own supporters are leaving the stadium when he starts going on his, as Naramda puts this, just super chatted, electric shark boat rants.
Or his recent rants about, like, he's always ranted about audience size. He's always ranted about that, but like,
did you see Obama's
now.
dick joke thing? Where he's like, and Donald Trump is, obsessed with size.
Oh, the one that he did at the DNC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch every single minute of the DNC stuff, but I did have it on in the background while I was making breakfast, so I could catch up on it.
I've watched barely any of them, but I had to go searching for the Obama clip.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so that's the main thing, is that in Washington, atheists are not as hated as Republicans, which I guess that's a win. And I get, like, Washington is a blue state. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So, like, if they did this nationally, I doubt that the result would be the same.
Any win is a win at this point.
Yeah, the main point of the article, though, is that, like, Washington might be firmly blue, but there are red districts. Like, they do have Republican Congress people in some locations, but, like, it's gotten to the point where, like, they might not anymore because being a Republican is seen as such a bad thing because of the Republicans' ties to Trump.
Well, as the Republicans get more and more extreme, it's very hard to distance the idea of a Republican from the facsimile of a Republican. most of the people who I know are right wing in Georgia right now will not call themselves that at the moment. A lot of them are saying that they are centrist or apolitical, like they're using other
that has been a
descriptors for
tactic of the
themselves.
right wing for ages now, though.
I'm not talking about the right wing as a whole, though. I'm talking about like regular fucking Joe Schmoes who don't want to be seen like KKK members. Like that's the people who I talk to in Georgia are just regular fucking people. And that's what they're doing right now, because they're looking at people like Trump and they're seeing an extremist. Even they're like, this is a very big difference politically from what we saw in, say, 2016, right?
Yeah.
The willingness to wear
difference.
so like Jassa in my chat yesterday mentioned that, oh, you can find the Trump supporters in the Georgia Capitol, they're wearing MAGA hats. And I just went, no, they're not. I've been to the Capitol, and most people there are not fucking stupid enough to wear one. It's a very, very strange thing when you consider that Georgia, you know, swing state as it may be, still generally can be a red state. And even with that, our Capitol people are still not doing that, even if you might expect it.
Yeah, there's just a couple loud ones, which one of them happens to be your representative.
Look, so the next time that there is a campaign, the next campaign to try to oust Marjorie, I'm going to see if I can get involved with whichever politician the Democratic Party puts up this time and try to try to get her out.
We can just like full on have a fundraiser.
Yeah, we can.
We can do a Tweets fundraiser for get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And like the thing that sucks is that the person who I wanted to go against Marjorie Taylor Greene got ousted by the Democratic Party. It was Brittany Tenenbaum. I tagged her on the channel because I wanted the opinion of like how things are going there. So I'm not even fully confident in our local Democratic Party, but I still want Marjorie gone, and I want to do whatever the fuck I can to get her out. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Next story.
Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Mark Anthony, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fire Shard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full time, and with your help I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.